we're actually going to be going through AI content agents. And these are something that we see a lot of our partners right now selling in multiple different verticals, whether that's for e-commerce products, whether it's for brands, whether it's for even in the niche of religion, right? Self-publishing books. This can be used for business. We just had another partner sell a content agent for $3,500 upfront, $200 a month. And this was in the LASIK kind of clinic space, right? So it's essentially an AI agent that essentially talks as like the LASIK surgeon to educate consumers on, essentially how these processes work and how they can ultimately, get LASIK and kind of be hands-on, right? So in this training, today it's going to be like a little bit more hands-on. We're going to be going through how to actually choose your niche, figure out what sort of clients you want to serve. We're going to be going through how to actually find and source viral content. We'll be going through a few different actual, real examples of what that looks like as well. So you guys can actually see, hey, this is how we go about finding content. We're then going to be going through avatar creation on, we use Higgsfield AI right now for a lot of our AI avatar creations. So, that can be quite helpful. We're going to be going through video prompting on HeyGen as well. Going through some of the scripts on HeyGen, and then also how you can go about posting this content across multiple different verticals. This is an example of, so we have a fulfillment partner right now that's helping with these AI agents. They essentially use this sort of agent to sell books. So this is an example of some like GMV from their TikTok shop with just one. I think this was just one account, but they were doing anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 a month with one account here, essentially promoting this book. So it's essentially like an AI avatar talking about the book or product. So once again, like maybe you guys don't know anything about books, maybe you don't really want to sell like AI content, for example, but hopefully this can give you some ideas just about the use cases, because the possibilities are quite endless here. So that's kind of the plan for today. And then if you guys have questions or things about how that works, we can go into depth a little bit more, because there's a lot of different verticals you can go with this whole AI implementation model. And this is just to show you the account. Essentially, they just have the same avatar ripping different viral scripts. I think they post 200 to 300 posts a month. And this is all selling this like pregnancy book. So it's like super niche. Maybe you guys don't have any, familiarity with those kind of verticals, but once again, hopefully this gives you some ideas for how you can ultimately scale this out into other niches and verticals. Now, where we're actually testing this specifically, I think this was a really interesting angle that we saw happening more recently. And this was actually with some content in the Jewish like rabbi niche. So this was really interesting. We saw, me and one of my business partners, we saw some of these rabbi accounts going very viral, right? There's an actual rabbi, like I think this guy has like close to like 500,000 followers, but there was this AI rabbi that started going really viral. And then he essentially sells, I think he sells this like, Jewish, hoodie or something. And then they have some other like AI products. But what we're seeing right now is that a lot of these like AI influencers are being used to promote digital products, whether it's like these e-commerce things, books, or even high ticket products. And that's kind of, where we're starting to even run some tests for our own company. Obviously we have our education company, but we're even running tests in-house to see, hey, is this sort of content going to convert on our sort of products? And, this is an agent. Once again, if you're able to generate, 100,000 views, 50,000 views, right? And like, if they're posting 5 times a day, I mean, that could be close to 1 million views a day they're generating. Well, whatever attention you can send that to, that's really where the opportunity lies. And that's ultimately like what these businesses would be paying for. So hopefully that gives you guys some context. Once again, this could be in multiple different verticals, but for this example, we're going to be using kind of this Jewish rabbi account as kind of our kind of case study for today. So let's say, for example, you choose your niche, right? So let's say we go with religion, just because it's going to be, it's very easy to get your ICP, your ideal customer profile, just based off that. Because like, if someone's Jewish, they see the rabbi, they're like, okay, this makes sense. Then we want to find viral content. So the next kind of part, of this process is, hey, how can we actually find viral content that's probably going to resonate with similar audience? So if I was starting a Jewish rabbi account, right, I might go to other ones in the space. Maybe it's other kind of religious content, maybe political content. There's a lot of stuff kind of happening in the news right now. So I mean, hoping everyone's staying safe with that. But look at trends and then see how you can kind of work those in to your different content pieces. So right here, this one had this had 1.6 million views. This one had 358,000. So what I might literally do is go to this post, right? And then I would essentially take the script, either use it verbatim or kind of make tweaks with like whatever my offer is. And then from there, create an AI avatar that's essentially saying the same thing, right? Because if a script goes viral once, it's probably going to go viral again, right? So we use a site called GetTranscribe. Essentially what you guys can start doing is essentially compiling a list of all of these different, viral Reels. So we found, a bunch were going viral with like the whole Jeffrey Epstein's scandals and like the wars and political chaos. That was an angle that we saw like going super viral like these past few days. So, that's kind of like the content that we've seen been working more recently. And then there's a bunch on like Money Mindset and etc. And what's nice is that you can use this tool, Get Transcribe. I think it's like $5-10 a month. You essentially take the TikTok link or you take the Instagram handle link. So for example, if I went back to my Rabbi account, I can then bring in a link here, transcribe it, and then that transcription I can go use and start compiling them into a doc to both essentially recreate that content, or I can also train my AI on that type of content. So once again, this sort of like angle, like maybe it's not aligned with like your ethics or values or whatever it is. Hopefully you guys see that just like an example. But essentially what I'm going to start doing is compiling a list of all of these different, posts. So for example, this would be like my third transcription. So in here, essentially, right, I'm going to start building out this database of all of these viral scripts, right? So for me to train my AI agent now, right, which I'll be walking you guys through here shortly, I essentially want to build up a list of, let's say, 10 to 20 different viral transcriptions. And then we're going to use Claude AI, right? And you guys might have heard of Claude AI, but we're essentially going to use Claude AI to help us actually build out a specific script. And then it's actually going to help us rewrite additional piece of content later on, right? So what does that actually look like on a more tangible basis? If selling AI agents to local boomer businesses and charging $3K, $5K, even $10K upfront with some sort of monthly retainer sounds interesting, that's exactly what we show our partners how to do inside of the AI implementation method. You can tap the links in the description, you can check out our website, book a call with our team, and we can help you actually get started with this business model. So I'll share you guys this prompt in the chat here as well, so you guys can kind of follow along. But essentially, this is a SOP for prompting Claude AI. So if you guys don't know what Claude AI is, it is essentially it's kind of like a ChatGPT, but it's a little bit more creative. And you guys should be able to access the doc in the chat there. But it is going to be a little bit more creative than some of these other AIs out there. So hopefully this gives you just some good context for how this works. But let's say, for example, I want to train my AI now to write in my voice and style for this Jewish content, right? So once again, right, we found the type of avatar, our niche. In this case, we're doing religion. We're finding like Jewish rabbi content, right? From there, and then compiling a list of, let's say, 20 or 30 different viral pieces of content. And then I want to essentially do two things to help me have a consistent flow of this new content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prompt Claude now. And if you guys are doing this live with me, you can follow along. It might be easiest to do that so you guys can leave this today with a tangible action plan. But what you guys can see now is that it is essentially just asking me to provide my samples. So that's where having a nice Google Doc is going to be helpful. Because then essentially from here, I can literally just take all my transcriptions, right? In this case, it's only 3. I would probably get like 10 to 20, but I'm just going to paste them in here. And then what's nice is that this is going to essentially analyze these transcriptions, and then it's going to spit out kind of like a style guide. And in this case, it looks like it might need to be trying again. I might find another example. So for example here, this is like a test I did this morning, but essentially it should spit out, like this is the same transcripts, but it should spit out like a writing structure. And it's essentially going to break this down specifically for like our hook, content or context, mechanism, profit angle, reframe, CTA, right? So it's like a specific writing style that all of these scripts, essentially follow. And then, Claude's going to have more context on exactly, how it will write, in my tone and voice. They'll have like different examples of like common phrases and expressions, right? And then the story structure patterns, right? So essentially from there, it's probably gonna ask me for more samples, but let's say, for example, I wanted to write a new piece of content now using the context from the past examples that I trained it with, right? Well, going back to our Claude prompt, right? We've now trained it. You can also request a style guide, but just for this example, won't be super important. But then from here, we can actually get additional pieces of content, right? Written in the same style that I'm essentially going with, right? So in this case, I said, hey, Claude, please write me a short piece of my style about investing in S&P 500 versus real estate, right? So let's say, for example, I was selling like a real estate offer in like New York. That's maybe like an angle that I would take. And maybe I'm targeting more like, Jews from New York. Like that angle, I feel like would really crush, right? So once again, once you know your ICP, once you kind of know who you're actually writing to, that's obviously going to help you in crafting this sort of content. But then from here, it's then going to spit out, an example piece of content for like Instagram Reels and that sort of context. what's really cool is that you can also create, direct response emails. So let's say, for example, I sell a client like this content agent, and it's going to start generating a bunch of, AI videos for them. Well, what's the next thing that they might need? Well, they might need some sort of email marketing campaign, right? So in this case, I might even prompt it to just be like, hey, hey, Claude, based on my, past examples of, Instagram Reels content, help me come up with a 5-step email sequence, right, to sell a real estate, offer to, people in New York, right? And it might prompt me for a few more things. Once again, like, you can get more specific with these prompts as well. Like, these are very, very broad, and we probably want to, obviously put a lot more thought into those as we were building this out. But let's see exactly what it's going to kind of do and spit out for us. So in this case, it's going to put it into essentially a reference, and we can plug it into our email platform. And let's see what it actually gives us here today. Do we have questions so far in kind of the applicabilities? We're seeing, hey, we find the content, we find viral pieces of content, transcribe these, we train our AI agent, in this case, Claude, to kind of build this out. And then from there, it kind of goes into the next steps. Are we following so far? Sweet. Cool.
Yes.
So Claude's having a little issues here. I don't really know why. But for example, we'll just end today with this examples of the piece of content here, right? So let's say next steps, right? You're like, okay, we got our scripts, we got this stuff built out. What is our actual next step on how this actually works, right? Well, we found our niche. We started to find viral content. We then transcribed the viral content, and we even have a way to essentially, get new content written out as well, right? If you reference this Claude data, you'll also, this Claude prompt guy, you also will be able to, ask it for potential topics. So as you train the agent more, right, and as it understands more of your style, it can also start suggesting different topics that would work well with your voice and typical themes, right? So with that sort of rabbi content, we're seeing a lot of things about like politics and the news, like that stuff's working really well to get a lot of eyeballs and attention. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, how can we figure out how to then divert that attention into some sort of product or service? That's where like the real magic happens. But hopefully you guys can start to see, okay, this is how we can start generating attention, especially if you guys don't want to be like in front of camera, or maybe your clients don't want to be in front of the camera either. So hopefully that can be helpful there. But how do we actually then start avatar creation? Because we have these scripts, right? We have these things that are helpful. How can we actually start avatar creation with these platforms, and how can we start generating some results? So to show you guys, this is our Rabbi account, and we started this maybe 7 days ago. We've already grown 5,000 followers, right? Now, a lot of these people are, from what we've seen, at least on Instagram and TikTok, they're actually pretty qualified potential people that are interested in real estate. They're interested in building wealth, right? They're interested in, sort of things that could actually convert for us into some sort of offer, right? You see some of these here, 66,000 views, 200,000 views. I think this one was posted like yesterday. So it's talking about like the conflict right now in politics. So obviously that's, controversial. But that, like using this sort of content to drive traffic towards some sort of product or service, that's where you can really start monetizing. And we see even people using this style of content to promote books, to promote e-commerce products. There's a lot of these things out there. So how can we now actually start creating our AI avatar, right? So we're going to be using two tools in this case. We're going to be using ChatGPT, and this is going to help us with prompting, right? So if you guys don't know what an AI prompt is, maybe you guys have used ChatGPT before and it hasn't given you a good response. Well, the reason behind that is because the prompts that were given were probably just not that great, right? So in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to use ChatGPT for my prompting, and then I'm going to use another tool called Higgsfield AI, right? And Higgsfield AI is like their website's like it's like a dopamine like spike when you go to the website. It's crazy. They have a ton of shit just happening here. But if you're on their main website, I'm going to be using here is their image creator. And the best image creator that we found is going to be Nano Banana. I think there's also some new ones with like Seed Dream and some of these others, but we just use Nano Banana and it gives us some pretty good prompts in there. So I know I think it's VO3. They have their own they have Nano Banana like directly through Google. But what we found is that like Higgsfield's model with like language learn or the LLM of Nano Banana, that just tends to give us these pretty realistic results. And this is an example of like an AI avatar for the LASIK clinics, as we kind of mentioned here at the beginning. So hopefully you guys can like just play around with it and you'll be able to get some different prompts. But let's say, for example, I want to, in this case, get an AI prompt for the LASIK surgeon, right? So as I mentioned, we had one of our partners, Alon. He sold essentially an AI like content system to a LASIK clinic. So if I was Alon and I'm coming in and like starting to develop this AI tool or agent, I'd essentially want to start first getting a prompt. So in this case, I'll just come in here, prompt it, and it'll just be like, hey, here's a refined conversion optimized Higgsfield AI prompt. It's going to give me the prompt: ultra realistic female LASIK surgeon, age 34 to 42, etc., wearing a crisp white medical lab coat. You could also even change the name. So like, let's say, for example, the doctor's name is like Jacob Smith. Well, you can actually make it say Jacob Smith on his jacket. And then in here, right, we'll essentially, like, instead of this woman, you can make it a man. And then it could say Jacob Smith instead of Sarah Jenkins here. It says Sarah Jenkins. So that's what's, it's pretty crazy what you can do. But then in here, you'll essentially just paste your prompt into this generation setup. And then it's going to spit out some sort of AI agent here. Now, you might be asking, Kekoa, okay, that's great. I have this AI image now. How can I actually start turning this into a video? So I'm just going to kind of go through and look at some of our, example rabbi ones. So we were testing like a woman rabbi. We were testing like a few of these other ones. And we are essentially using this to like promote the AI kind of product that we have, right? So we actually have like a little laptop here with like my face, and that's essentially how we're doing it. But for like an e-commerce product, maybe he could be sitting, like maybe the rabbi could be sitting and he's holding like the energy drink brand, or like you would probably have to find something that's more aligned with like the energy drink, but maybe it's like a fitness influencer holding the energy drink, right? And what's cool is that, let's say, for example, at some point I want to, let's say, for example, I want this rabbi to be holding something else. I can also paste him in here, and I could even prompt it, to be like, have my rabbi, or let's generate my rabbi again, but making him hold an energy drink. And if you had a picture of the energy drink, you would be able to, actually put that in there. So let's see. And maybe I could even generate me a photo of an energy drink. I'll take this away. And once again, you can make the prompt better by going back to ChatGPT and doing that. But we can actually see what it spits out here shortly. And then essentially you can kind of combine these two images as well. So let's say, for example, you guys are selling an AI content system to an e-commerce brand, right? A big bottleneck for a lot of these e-commerce brands is getting enough creative for meta ad testing, right? So like this one, like I'm not sure if like we'd actually be able to use, but let's say, for example, it's like literally him holding this little energy drink and drinking it. That could be pretty crazy, right? So maybe now it looks like it gave me a thing for Volt. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to take the image of him, and then I'm going to take the image of Volt. So this is like, what is the actual use case, right? Well, if I'm selling, let's say, an ad package for Volt, and like, let's say they need like 3,000 creatives in a month, there's no way like a human would be able to really get that together without like a massive team, right? So, for example, you could sell them AI content, AI ads, essentially at scale with like a bunch of different avatars, right? And you can obviously hook these up with, some of these different AI agents like N8N, and I would hire a contractor to do a lot of that process. But what's nice is that, once you kind of crack this on like a manual scale, that's how you'd essentially scale out to getting an AI, system to actually kind of do these generations for you. So let's actually generate this now. So like generate me a photo of my rabbi on the left image holding and drinking the Volt energy drink, right? And once again, right, like I'd probably put more thought into these prompts. Like these are pretty simple prompts, but hopefully you guys can start to see, okay, like this is actually something that brand could use. And like this is something that you can actually sell on a monthly retainer, right? So you might sell a mix of like, you can actually have the AI avatars as like the prompts, for example, but then also you can have like the actual like videos here, which I'll share with you guys here shortly, right? So I'm just gonna wait for this this prompt to kind of join in. While we wait for this image to generate, what sort of ideas do you guys have just based off the content stuff that we've gone through today? Do we have thoughts or questions? What ideas have we got? What sort of use cases do we see for putting these some together? Have ideas? No ideas? Wow.
So when you're breaking it down yourself, when you're doing your own, where are you seeing the best avenue for monetizing it? Do you like build out, say, something like your rabbi there, and then and then sell that to somebody, or do you use that for yourself to sell electronic products?
Yeah, so for us, it would be like digital products.
Uh-huh.
For like other brands though, right? Like I
Mhm.
probably wouldn't use like a Rabbi. Like I might use like
Oh,
an
right,
actual,
right. Yeah. I was just
yeah,
using
like
that as an example. Does it make sense to build that out first and then sell that to somebody? Or do you just use that part for your own digital products and then build out something that's specifically branded to another company for their
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. So do you have like a specific business in mind that you pitch a solution like this?
Yeah. So like a real estate agent, would I build out, say, like a pretty avatar, saying, you know, this here's the city and everything, and then when you want to buy a house, talk to this agent. Do I build that out first and then sell it, and then just modify it to that particular agent, or do I start from scratch with that particular agent? What seems to be more beneficial?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you even saw how fast like we kind of built this out. So like
Uh-huh.
I would go after my niche first. So like we have real estate, right? Let's say you have like 10 real estate agents
Uh-huh.
in XYZ area. Let's say it's this, San Diego, right? So then in there, I'd essentially take like the names of all the real estate firms. I'd put those into the video somehow, right? And then essentially show them the demos as my pitch, right? I was
Mhm.
pitching Volt, right? And like right here, like you see the rabbis actually drinking the content,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So I would literally make a video animation of this rabbi doing it for Volt, but then I do it for like 10 other drink brands as well. And I'd essentially use that as my pitch. I'll just be like, hey, here's an ad, right? That you can literally use today, right? We can produce you 500 of these every single month. We know you're spending, $1 million a month on meta ads, and we know that your bottleneck is probably going to be creative diversification, right? Is that something you're interested in having a conversation about? Like that's probably my pitch right there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And then just hypothetically, do you build these out for yourself for selling digital products as
Yes,
well?
we do.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So that one that I showed at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more like my partner, like one of the people that I do business with. She also has like a book publishing company. They have like 30 different books in like the pregnancy niche and like in a few different verticals and like money and health and stuff. They probably do anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 a month per book, right? So I mean, with 20, 30 books, it's pretty good. But she essentially ditched the whole UGC creator model, and she just sells, or she just uses AI avatars now because it's just like super easy production. You can do it at mass scale. And then she just has like product placement in all the books, essentially like this model here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Okay.
Other questions, thoughts on that? Sweet. So essentially from here, right, what I'm then going to do is I'm going to take, I'm going to take one of my rabbis here, and I'm essentially going to save the image. And what you guys can then do is take it on over to HeyGen, right? So HeyGen is, so I believe Higgsfield, you could also do it in there. I think they cap at like 7 seconds for the video. So like we kind of do like a mix between these different agents, but they'll also have other sort of like professional avatars, UGC, right? They'll have a bunch of other types of content, sort of people in here, but we see it works best with like your own custom agent, right? So for our rabbi there, let's say, for example, I wanted to start with a new video. Well, I need to first come into avatars and actually get my avatar in there. So let's say, for example, I want to go to all my avatars. So we have a bunch of just like random ones. But then in here, I can do a new avatar. So you guys are also able to do clones of yourself. We've done like clones of me to like do content. Like with a real person, it's still not like 100% there. Like I don't really like how it turns out. But let's say, for example, even with the real estate guy, if you get like an avatar that looks pretty similar to them, you can kind of remove them from having to do any sort of like house walkthroughs or some of their other sort of marketing things. That's where I see potential. But you could do it with either a real person, or we can actually just upload photos of our current avatar there, right? So let's try to get my rabbi in and trying to get this photo selected. Lenny was saying something. Lenny, I can't see what you said in the chat. Do you want to just talk? That's easier. Okay, so I got my rabbi. So my rabbi is now in there. I'm then going to upload. Let's see. Yeah, the voice has to be perfect for the avatar to work. Yeah, we tested this with a female rabbi, and like the voice I didn't like, so like we're still kind of working on that one. But yeah, in this case, I'll just be like Rabbi Goldman, senior, ethnicity, man. And then from here, just hit continue. In here, you'll be able to choose a different voice. Like we have one that's pretty good. Yeah, so this is the one here. So like it sounds like an older guy. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that. But yeah, it sounds like an older guy, and I would essentially make that one him. And then from here, you'd essentially be able to have the avatar, right? Now we have a bunch of other ones already. And we found that, our guy in like luxury location, and then you literally see like this is like our info product that we sell, like essentially just have here as product placement. Like it's gonna be way easier with like a book that's $20 comparatively to like a $10,000 or $20,000 like info product, right? However, we're like it's just a test we're running because like we see this working for like other verticals. That's just where we're kind of testing. But that would be the avatar there, and then I can essentially come over to script to video, and let's say I want to change the avatar on him in front of the Rolls Royce, and then in here I could essentially come in and train and give it like an actual prompt to put in, right? So let's say, for example, this is one of the transcriptions. I could then come in here, upload the script, and essentially generate the video. So we have a team member right now. So this is all done for us by a virtual assistant right now. So we pay virtual assistants like $2 an hour essentially, and then they're just kind of trained with our SOPs. You can also set up an AI agent through like tools like N8N or Make.com. However, we've just seen that we can get better results on the actual videos if we have like a little bit of human touch. So AI still does the scripting, AI like still does a lot of the process, but we'll have someone manually come in and do this. And then they're the ones posting it because it's just going to make the images look cleaner from like what we found. But, at some point, if this works and is able to successfully sell like the info product, for example, then we'd essentially, just make multiple accounts, have AI agents fully doing the whole process, and just like invest more time and capital into that. But that's essentially kind of like the whole workflow there for how those would get built and how we actually, like what the use case is behind those. So does that make sense, everyone? Do you have questions or thoughts on that?
Yeah, can I jump in?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I have a brand, just a fitness apparel.
Yep.
And so between Claude, Nano Banana, and HeyGen, those are all different tools I should essentially subscribe to help build out we build out the system, and then I can take that and show others as I expand the business. I guess I want to kind of do a test run on my own product and get that built out and show that as an example. So those three tools would be the key ones: Nano Banana, HeyGen, and Claude, as far as creating. What's the other one?
Yeah, so it'd be HeyGen, Higgsfield AI, which is like the Nano Banana. So that's this one in here.
Okay.
Right. And then you have Claude, right, which is actually doing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And what you could do, like what I would probably do, so like, is it a supplement brand or what's the brand?
No, it's duffel bags and slides, just like fitness apparel.
Is it so women or guys?
Both. It's
Okay.
like Under Armour, Nike, essentially, like a small version.
Okay. For a fitness content apparel brand.
It's like more accessories, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So then like what I would probably do too, so like this is probably not going to give you what you want. Like you'll probably need to come into like chat or Claude to give you another prompt. So like you can even probably provide it like actual images of like maybe like other influencers that have used your products. Like do you have photos of those people?
Yes. Okay. So just
Okay.
upload that and they get a good idea about what others have done, and they can run with that.
Yeah. Like a female influencer in fitness, right?
Okay.
It's going to spit out the prompt, and you probably want the prompt because you want it some to be, probably athletic, tone physique, etc. Right, and then you can make the style a little different for what you're trying to do.
Okay.
It looks like this girl actually turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
But then you can literally take your photo of your product, and then you could like kind of what I did with like this dude here, right? I could essentially get her holding the brand, and then you could probably get some sort of animation of her running with it too, right?
Okay.
So I'd probably get like 10 different influencers that have like different ethnicities, like different ages and stuff, so you can kind of align with like multiple different personas. And then from there, like the biggest thing to go viral and get like organic attention is going to be the script. So like the script is going to be the most important part, but like this can be a really good first kind of step. And then you could essentially sell this sort of content to like drink products or e-commerce brands or stuff like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, makes total sense. Perfect. Appreciate that.
Sweet. Cool, guys. Other questions on that? Yeah, I think it's a good question. Yeah. Sweet, Lenny. ChatGPT, prompt generation. Yeah, cool. So that's essentially what that kind of looks like. You know, at the end of the day, like none of this content will go viral without the right scripts, right? So like, you know, we've seen probably like 50 of these rabbi accounts pop up over the last, you know, probably 2 weeks. But, you know, the scripting is going to be the most important part. So if you can find, you know, let's say 30 pieces of content that have all gone viral, I take the scripts, put them in a Git transcribe, that other tool I showed you guys, and then yeah, like really getting your Claude AI to essentially be able to spit out viral scripts like clockwork. Like that's going to be the biggest thing to like continuing to go viral and push more traffic. Does that make sense, everyone? Cool. So that's use cases there. You know, and like you guys can even do market research. It seems like some of you guys have like different like e-commerce brands and like stuff like this. So like even within your own businesses, I'd go look at like other creators and other like verticals on different ad platforms. So right here, this is Meta Ad Library. And if you guys run Meta Ads, you should know that you can do this. But if you don't, this is essentially how I could do research on like other brands, right? So Comfort Clothing, I think they do like $500 million a year. They have some like stupid amount of like creatives, right? But like in here, this is their ad library, and you'll see which ones are doing well. And you can also sort by the amount of spend that these ads are getting. So you can, I think it automatically does this now, but you can sort by impressions high to low. So if it's getting more impressions, then you know their ad spend, I think they spend probably a few $1 million a day. I'm not sure what their spend limits are, or it might be like, you know, a couple $100,000 a day. But essentially you'll see which ads are getting the most spend. So I would probably just go watch all of these ads and see maybe why they went viral.
She kept asking for these sweatshirts, and they were called comfort sweatshirts. And I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll get it for you, whatever.
So this one here, it looks like it is interview style. It looks like it's a little bit more raw and natural, right? Let's see this one.
The new Leopard came out, and we are so excited. It's just in time for school, and they dropped the prices.
As the kid targeting moms, right? So I think all this is actual like real content, but you could see like kind of the scripts what they're using, and then start to take these and then emulate in like your client's ads, or even for your own brand, right? There could be other potential here.
Attention besties, the viral clothing brand Comfort already started their Black Friday sale, so if you're seeing this and they still have your size, please do yourself a favor and
Sounds like Black Friday promo.
Y'all, there must be a glitch in the system because I've never seen Comfort prices this low before. If you don't know.
So there must be a glitch in the system. I've never seen XYZ product this low, right? So we've also seen other sort of AI content where it's like a clip of like the AI creator over the product as well, right? So that could be another potential angle that you take for selling these agents to a business or even for your own brand as well. So like just do some research in the kind of niche or vertical that you're going after, and that can be a really good you know, potential to find like winning creatives and offers, right? Cool. Other questions on that? Sweet.
I do have a question.
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you? So I have a theme page and it does like beauty products and whatnot. And I'm just creating beauty influencers with the product static images and linking the purchase site to that. So just basically like affiliate links for it. Do you think that it would be more advantageous if that's like the theme page is just posting daily glamour content for me to actually create these agents that's actually like maybe putting on a lip gloss or whatnot and have some like script that is like currently viral to go along with that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am, exactly that. Have you seen the AI girls that do like podcasts? Have you seen it, that sort of content?
Yeah, I've tried the podcast route. I don't have a lot of time because I freelance as well, and I do a lot of work with different clients across different avenues. So I'm just trying to streamline my actual theme pages so that they can monetize more and they can be more automated. Of course, I need to get more VAs and things like that, but it just starts adding up. So I'm just like, how can I scale here? Because I'm already like spread thin right now.
100%. Do you have at least one VA?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. Are they like full time?
No, I need them to be full time, but business changes so much right now with clients and them picking up workload and like dropping packages and things like that. So I'm just trying to keep the like if I want to make like 10 grand a month and just like as a freelancer, it requires a lot of work. And then if I can just automate like my theme pages using
Yeah.
these things, it just helps me not have to work as hard physically with these other clients.
How many views a month does the theme page get?
So the TikTok theme page, at least 200 and well, I would say it just really depends. It just changes
Yeah.
so drastically. Ever since the new change with TikTok, I went from being in the creator rewards program for, just views to not being in it anymore. And I used to have millions of views. Now I'm probably getting like 250 to 300,000 a month, if that.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good context. So my current Instagram's banned. Like we had some shit happen with Instagram, so that's why we're even looking at this AI content. But I sent a link there. Her name is I am Ivanka Hilton. And that page, if you guys can kind of see this, she essentially does this like AI content, but it's like a podcast style, and it's just some like pretty woman that like talks viral scripts. But what I would do is I would literally take, so like this video here, I don't know if you guys can see that, it has 1.1 million views, or yeah, 1.1 million views here. I take that script, that video, I put it into Get Transcribe, I take the viral script, and then I'm essentially going to have my AI influencer talk the same thing, but then she's going to be holding the product, right? And then essentially you just post like 10 to 20 of those pieces a day, right? So, over a month, if you post 20 times, 600 posts, they're all holding the product that you want to sell. And then in the caption for each post, I'll just be like, hey, go check out this product in our bio or something like that. I would make it better than that. But essentially, right, you're getting all these eyeballs on the product. All the captions and descriptions are pushing back to some sort of CTA. And then from there, you don't like your VA could do all of that, right? The VA could do the ideation, they could do the making of the content, the posting, and then you just kind of watch the system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But are you, so you're creating your SOP for them, like, hey, I want this built out in this. Are you giving them access as like a user to your current system so that they're actually, so you can see what they're creating in there and then approving it? Are you creating this process in your SOP?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so you would just create it. Like the SOP could be pretty simple. Just be like, hey, look at these 5 accounts every day. Look and see what went viral. Take these accounts, put them into the Get Transcribe, that tool that we showed you. Take the transcription, put it into HeyGen, or you probably have to make your avatar. I'd probably make the avatar that you want, but then put it into HeyGen, make the video, post the video.
I see. And that's just all they're doing in repetition and whatnot.
Yeah, and I just get them to post like 20 times a day. I do it on one account, and then if you start going viral with that, like take the scripts that work, make a new avatar, different race, different age, maybe different gender, and use it to promote. Yeah.